Are you ready to launch your career to new heights? Visit careers.dish.com/technician now and uncover a world of exciting opportunities waiting just for you. From cutting-edge technology to a supportive work environment, Dish has everything you need to thrive. Don't wait any longer to kickstart your next opportunity. Apply today and join the Dish family where innovation meets opportunity. Visit us online at careers.dish.com/technician. Your future starts now.
Welcome to the 7220sports.com kickoff show presented by Wyo Lotto and Rocky Mountain Shirtworks.
All right, you know what? The guy who's going to be a better head coach than I am, a dear friend, a heck of a ball coach, Jay Sawvell. Come on up, Jay.
Didn't see this coming 2 weeks ago, for sure. You know, I'm excited. This is a great day. For me, personally, this is a day that I probably wouldn't have guessed would have happened 3-4 years ago, that I would have had this chance. And I'm indebted to so many people.
That was new Wyoming head football coach, the 33rd new head football coach in Wyoming history, Jay Sawvell, introducing himself to the public back on December 6th. Taking the reins, or the baton, if you will, from Craig Bohl, who spent a decade here on the Wyoming sidelines. I'm Cody Tucker, joined as always by Jared Newland. It's game day, the 128th opening day for the Wyoming Cowboys. Jared, it never gets old, does it?
No, it doesn't. And I was actually surprised to read how well Wyoming had done in their history in opening games on the road.
Yeah, I looked at 27-1 all time. Not bad. And then also non-conference-wise, 15-17 overall.
Because you usually think that if they're opening up on the road, it's going to be against one of the big boys,
Yep.
and those outcomes usually aren't very good.
That is true. Or they're close but no cigar so many times, especially in the 90s under Dimmel.
Yep.
And just so many. But last year, another one, 10-10 going into the fourth against Texas. But Arizona State on the docket tonight. It's going to be in the triple digits. It's hotter than Hades. We all expected that.
But it's a dry heat, Cody.
But it's a dry heat. You always get to hear that. Jay Sawvell will be the first one to tell you that. He's not worried whatsoever. Arizona State, we're going to break them down more on the second half of the show. But Kenny Dillingham, it's still so weird to me. 34 years old. Wyoming's conference championship drought is older than Kenny Dillingham.
And he got his start at 17 years old after he blew his knee and he put the headset on.
So crazy. 3-9 in his first season last year. They're coming off back-to-back 3-9 seasons. They are living and dying with the transfer portal, bringing in more than 30 guys once again.
And his career may live or die by the transfer portal, depending on the outcome of this season.
Ain't that the truth? Welcome in, 7220sports.com kickoff show. 6th year we've done this, Jared. Isn't that crazy? 6th year of 7220 Sports. 3rd year of the show. But excited about it, excited to get going.
It's crazy to think that you've been here back for 6 years.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I can't believe it either. It just seems weird, and it seems like the math doesn't even work because you're like, man, I started in 2019, and here we are, 2024. Exciting season ahead. Busy off season though around these parts, and I thought we should talk about that right off the bat here. Craig Bohl, of course, 10 years, took the Cowboys to 6 bowl games. I always like to point out, most importantly, owned the Bronze Boot rivalry, winning 7 of his 10. Should have been 8. The first 2, I guess, were expected, but should have been 8. Craig finally bows out. December 6th, can you think back to that day and what went through your head? I think we weren't exactly shocked because he only had 1 year left on his contract, but how did you go? How was your feelings from Bohl's out to Sawvell's in? They announced it 5 minutes apart.
Yeah, it was so quick, but if it was going to happen, I don't think there was any other way of doing it. With the bowl game coming up, they wanted to make sure they had all the pieces in place. And with the new so-called transfer portal, newish, they knew they had to do that. And Tom knew what he had to do to keep the players, especially the key players, around to make sure there's continuity in the program.
No doubt.
And you don't want to bust up 10 years of culture building and it's obviously worked.
Yeah.
Wyoming's gone to multiple bowl games. They competed for a conference championship, hosted the conference championship game one year, even though now that's 8 seasons ago. It's hard to believe.
It is.
But at the same time, it's working, and it's hoping to continue to work this upcoming season and beyond.
You mentioned some of the things that Craig Bohl did. Another one of the things he did was he put a ton of guys in the NFL, and I think that's what was always so maddening about not being able to win a conference championship. How can you not win a championship when you have, 18 guys at one point in the NFL that you brought in?
But it seems like some years there's like 3 really key offensive players, really good off, and then all of a sudden it's all on the defensive side, and it's kind of trending towards the defensive side. Now we'll see what the roster cuts are, and with the practice squads additions in the next couple of days to see how many people are actually on squads coming up. But that tradition has also continued, putting guys in the NFL and really labeling Wyoming as a true development program. And Craig has said that from the get-go, and now Jay is continuing that. And that's the way Wyoming's going to have to operate moving forward as well.
Well, an unfortunate tradition hopefully is going to come to a close this year as well. It seems you kind of brought it up. Wyoming will have a really good offense one year, a really good defense the next. It's rarely been put together in a long, long time. Dare I say 1996, the last time that happened.
Most likely, yes.
And now it seems like that could be the case. But a busy offseason, obviously highlighted by Jay Sawvell, the 33rd head coach in Wyoming football history. He's 53 years old. He's never been a head coach at any level, though he has coached on staffs under Lou Holtz, Jerry Kill, and went to Mount Union, a powerhouse at the Division III level. Also, he also pointed to Craig Bohl as being one of his huge mentors in this business, and he feels he's ready. And Craig Bohl had a word in whether Jay Sawvell was ready, because I think you and I openly talked about it numerous times. Is there anyone on this staff who could fill in? Because we knew Craig only had 1 year left on his contract. It was either extension, retirement, or a 1 year everybody gets to say goodbye to Craig Bohl swan song, which damn well he wasn't going to do.
Well, most likely it was going to be Sawvell or Polasek, and Polasek's now the head man at North Dakota State, because those are the 2 coordinator positions. You really can't take no offense to these guys, but a wide receiver coach or a tight ends coach or a safeties coach.
It's rare.
I mean, Sawvell was the safeties guy, but still,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's you have to have some leadership qualities when you take over as a head coach, obviously.
Yeah.
And coordinating the offense or the defense, that's a leadership position.
Yeah. And so far, so good. You already mentioned Tim Polasek to North Dakota State. He is the head coach there in Fargo. Oscar Giles, who was so important to the recruiting, especially the footprint down in the Lone Star State of Texas. He is now at the University of Houston. Enter Jason Petrino, safeties coach, who spent last year at North Dakota State. He's very familiar with the area, has been at Wyoming before, will take over the safety spot for Jay Sawvell. Jeff Phelps, new defensive tackles coach. He spent the last 8 years, I want to say, with Mike Leach at Washington State, Mississippi State, and then his last year after the unfortunate passing of Mike Leach at North Dakota State as well. So Jeff Phelps will take over for Oscar Giles. Aaron Bohl, defensive coordinator. He has been the linebackers coach here since 2016 as a GA. He is now the defensive coordinator, and I loved that Jay Sawvell didn't let a press release come out. He didn't wait around. He said, Aaron Bohl is my defensive coordinator. We are all on board with this, and we are not switching one thing.
There was no speculation really at any of these additions.
No. Aside from maybe Jay Johnson, the offensive coordinator brought in from Michigan State. He was a finalist for the Broyles Award just a handful of years ago. Of course, he was part of that, Mel Tucker debacle in East Lansing, and last year was just a brutal year for Michigan State. You cannot pin anything Jay Johnson did on with the happenings there for the Spartans. I mean, they were just a dumpster fire. So excited to have him in, because Jay Sawvell mentioned it in the opening press conference. It's like he's taken the baton for the final leg of this race away from Craig Bohl. And what has this race been missing for the last 10 years? Balance on offense. They have never been able to throw the football with any regularity whatsoever since Josh Allen's been gone. And it's been maddening. And we've talked about it ad nauseum, because when you can run the football the way the Cowboys have, how are you not getting anything open downfield?
Well, and one of the first things Jay Johnson said during spring ball was like, how did you not get J. Michael Gillenborg the ball more?
Yes.
19 receptions?
Yeah, he was struggling with how are we not going to throw him the ball on every play? And what a great I don't know about you, but I perked right up when I heard that.
Absolutely.
Because it was like, man, we haven't heard anything like this in years.
And I think you're going to see not only the tight end being more involved, but there's going to be more downfield passes.
Yes.
There's going to be extensions of the run game by getting the running backs the ball on swing passes.
Yeah.
Get those guys headed downfield with the ball.
When things were going well for Jay Johnson at Michigan State, they were scoring from 50 yards out with regularity, from 30 yards out with regularity. There's going to be explosive plays. And another low-key signing that happened really late in the offseason, Javon Bonite, Wyoming Hall of Famer, one of the greatest wide receivers this program's ever produced, which is saying something. He is now an offensive analyst, but let's be real, he's also helping Mike Grant with the wide receivers. And we know Bo, he's been at Oregon, he's been at Kentucky, he's been all over the joint. Utah State forever, Texas Tech. These wide receivers are going to be better.
Absolutely they will be. And if they're not, I mean, what's going on?
yeah, no kidding. Jay Johnson, though, is all about balance. You know, you ask him, he's a really mellow, mild-mannered cat, but you ask him about, what kind of offense is this? And I don't know. Just, we just try and do what's open, and we just try to be balanced. And you look at him, man, he had Kenneth Walker, who ended up being a Doak Walker guy, a first-round draft pick. They threw the ball a lot that year. He rushed for 1,600 yards, and they threw the ball for 3,000 yards. Can you imagine? Imagine what that would look like in Laramie?
Been a long time.
That would look real good with a real nice defense, too. As far as personnel goes, Jared, we have to talk about the transfer portal. The Cowboys made out like a rose in the portal this year. Yes, they lost Gavin Meyer to USC late in the process in the spring. Other than that, nothing.
And the additions outweigh the subtractions.
100%. DJ Jones is going to be your starting running back tonight. Thankfully, he's on board because Harrison Whaley, of course, undergoing a little bit of knee surgery a couple of weeks ago, will miss at least a couple of games, you'd imagine. DeWine McNeely's still coming back from an ACL. They're throwing in a guy from North Carolina who was a 3-star running back who was sought out by some of the biggest colleges in this country out of high school, and he made the switch to safety because of the numbers at UNC in the running back room. Now he's a Wyoming Cowboy, and something that's so telling to me, and something that speaks about Jay Sawvel's first 6 months on the job. He tells DJ Jones every day, "Thank you for being here. We're so glad you're here." The culture is better. It's better all the way around, in my opinion.
Yeah, and for somebody, especially that came from the other side of the country,
yeah,
he needs that assurance too, because he's got 3 months left to play out here.
Absolutely. So. And by saying the culture, I'm not insinuating the culture was bad. What I love so far about Sawvel's tenure is he's improved upon everything. And let's be real. Craig Bohl was not necessarily a player's coach. I don't think you'd put him in that category. And there was a great quote this week from his son talking about, there's 18 inches between the back of a head and a butt that, you got to know which one to slap and put your arm around. You got to know which one to kick. And that's the kind of coach you're going to be. And Craig was more of a kick you in the pants kind of cat and not a throw his arm around you kind of cat. So Jay is the opposite. We've seen the workout videos. We've seen him in there lifting with the guys. Every guy you talk to is just like, man, you want to play really hard for this guy because he knows you. He pays attention to what you're doing. He's invested in your life. And it's not just about football. And I think that's something that maybe has been missing a little bit here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Craig Bohl himself would say that, he mentioned it a lot when he was leaving during his retirement press conference that they need a younger voice and they need somebody else to drive this train. And so far, so good. I think Jay Sawvel is that guy.
I totally agree. This situation couldn't be better for what Wyoming needed at the time.
Absolutely. Aside from DJ Jones coming in, TK King from Texas Tech, he's going to play tonight. He's listed as a backup kick returner and punt returner as well. He's going to see the field. Evan Eller, linebacker out of Virginia Military Institute, he will be in as well. He's going to cycle in at the middle linebacker spot with Shea Suinoa. And to be honest with you, Jared, maybe the most important guy tonight and this season came in the transfer portal. That's Jack Colbreth, a punter from Virginia Military Institute. The Cowboys struggled mightily in that category last year, and this guy is 6'5". He's a 2-time All-American.
Yeah, and more consistency punting the ball is going to be great advantage for the Wyoming Cowboys because, I mean, think about some of the times last year when they did punt and it went off side of a foot and there was a 29-yarder when you should be getting 40 to 45 out of something like that and putting people deeper in their own territory, or sometimes maybe it was in their own territory.
No doubt. Poor Clayton Stewart, he spent his final game in a Wyoming uniform at the Arizona Bowl last year getting screamed at on the sideline by Craig Bull. That was a rough outing for Mr. Stewart. So, that could be the ace in the hole there. I really feel that way. I really like this Jack Culberth kid. He's huge. He's a huge guy. I asked him, I was like, you had to be the biggest guy on the VMI football team. And you're the punter. So some other things we talked about with the culture too. The names on the jersey. Big deal? I think so.
It is to the kids.
Yeah.
They love that kind of stuff, and especially their families. And especially in today's age where you don't know a lot of these players anymore because of the transfer portal, or they switch their numbers a lot.
And they want to make money NIL-wise.
Yep. So now, for the fans, it's going to be a lot better. Like, oh, that's so-and-so's number now, and things like that, because it's hard.
It's hard for me. It's hard for Keith Kelly, I know. It's tough, man. It's really tough. Third uniform, brown pants, gold jersey. Like, this is stuff you don't see, but the kids absolutely love it. We saw the videos this offseason of them going absolutely nuts when that happened. And it's just, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal to some. And I even had somebody on social media yesterday say, I can't believe they're putting names on these jerseys. It just doesn't feel right. Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's 2024.
You know what I want to see tonight, though? I want to see the Cowboys come out here in this desert heat in all white.
That would be sweet. The sun's going to be down behind the press box by the time they take the field, so it's not going to be, blasting them by any means for the most part. But yes, white. I love the white on white. I always have.
So good. They look so good. Plus, Arizona State's wears yellow.
Yeah.
So white.
Yeah. So I know that Arizona State has tabbed this as their gold out game.
Yeah.
So Wyoming fans are hopefully all in brown tonight or in white.
And don't wear gold. Wyoming, don't wear gold.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Wear white, head to toe. It'd be beautiful. Plus, it's something Craig Ball hated and would have never done. So keep doing it. So of all the storylines, Savell, the new offense, the wide receivers, the new coordinators, Evan Swoboda has to be at the top, right?
Absolutely. And having the opportunity to open up his first start, as the reins of the program. I know he started at Texas, but in his home state, and his high school is, 20 minutes away?
Yeah.
What a perfect opportunity. And, I know his family has a suite tonight. It's going to be great. And just, protect the ball and have a good game.
Let's hear from the man himself, the junior quarterback from Mesa, Arizona, 6'5", 245 pounds. I asked him, I bet you've been daydreaming about this one.
Almost every single minute of the day. I think about, how I'll perform, what I'm going to do, throughout the day, but kind of like manifesting it a little bit, just kind of seeing myself in what I'm going to do. I think that's huge. Yeah. I think if you could see yourself doing it, then it's going to happen.
So in that start at Texas last year, you just can't say it enough how poised Evan Swoboda was. He knew that Monday he was going to start in Austin. Still, you cannot prepare yourself to play. Texas is a playoff team. There's 100,000 people in the crowd.
They just came off beating Alabama.
Yeah. On the road. He gets his shot. He steps in. He's 17 of 28, 136 yards. Of course, he threw the pick six, but, I thought that game plan was good in some ways. It got him some good, easy throws to get comfortable. Then I thought they did him a disservice later on, Tim Polasek and that crew on the offensive side. The out routes and not using any of the middle of the field, not going deep, something we've all heard about is his big arm. He didn't go deep at all. He kept throwing those out routes. It finally got jumped. And it's amazing that it didn't get jumped earlier because that's all he threw.
Exactly.
It was frustrating to rewatch that game. However, we saw Evan came in Arizona and saved the day. Andrew Peasley got absolutely ragdolled on that last drive for the Cowboys in the Arizona Bowl. Here comes Evan Swoboda, calm, cool, drives him right down the field. I want to say 72 yards for the game-winning field goal. He's a gamer.
And not only the passes, but some of those runs he had were punishing runs on the defense.
No doubt. Jay Johnson been working now with Evan throughout spring and throughout fall camp. We've been hearing about some inconsistencies. Jay Johnson, Wyoming's offensive coordinator, not concerned.
Yeah, I don't really think you can turn it on when the lights come on. I think, you always got to fall back to your training. And, he works really hard and that. And so, yeah, it's he's in a different role than he's ever been in. And so, sure, there's been some inconsistencies, but I'm not concerned about it because of the way he comes to work every day. And that, it just comes by doing things over and over and over. And I think we really started to make some really good progress last week. And so now I'm looking forward, as we got, another week and a half or 2 weeks before we truly start playing, that he can continue to make that climb because he's done some good things.
Svoboda's never been in this spot before, Jared. So, yeah, there's going to be some inconsistencies. He's thrown some picks. Some stuff's been off target. He's also, I hear people freaking out about this already. He just got an entire new offensive scheme put on him. He also has a headset now in his helmet. He's getting signs relayed from the sideline. They're hurrying up. They're not huddling. He literally just got an entire thick offensive playbook crammed into his brain in one off season. They're still going to run the ball, and that's still going to be something that this program is going to be known for. But the balance aspect has come in, and now it's just cram-packed. And something I would love to hear is how he performed this week, being able to focus solely on Arizona State and not an entire playbook worth of stuff.
But being more mature and a little bit older is going to help out in that position as well, because he's not an incoming freshman or a redshirt freshman.
Yep.
He's been on the sideline.
Yep.
He's been in games before, and he's been in a big game before at Texas. So that's going to help too.
Absolutely. He's already been voted team captain too, which means the world to him. Talked to him the other day. You don't just become the team captain because you're the quarterback. So they're really excited about Evan. A lot of upside. We knew that anyway. We only have a couple minutes left here in the first segment here. Quick rundown. 4 offensive linemen are back. Wes King, Nofoafia Tulifono, Jack Walsh, Caden Barnett, Nate Geiger will be making his first ever start tonight on the left side, protecting Svoboda's backside at the left tackle spot. You mentioned it already, John Michael Gillenborg. I hate to put this kind of pressure on a kid, but this kid has NFL written all over him. He's really special. He's the same size as Svoboda. He can run like the wind. We've heard from safety saying he is an absolute nightmare to cover. Expect him to be a big part of the game plan, not only tonight, but forever. Yeah,
for a guy that's coming off of only 19 catches in a season, and he's selected as your preseason tight end in the conference, and getting all the, really not only that, but national recognition as well.
Yeah.
People know that he's somebody to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Played only a handful of high school games. What a find for the Cowboys. Absolute gold mine here with this kid. At the wide receiver spot, no more Wyatt Whelan, no more Ryan Marquez, no more Gunnar Gentry, Ira Santi. They're all out. Enter TK King, Jalen Sargent, Alex Brown, big year ahead for him, hopefully. Will Pellissier, Stevenson, Chris Durr, the true freshman we've heard all about. Excited to see what he can do. At the running back room, Sam Scott, DJ Jones, and Jamari Farrell. Expect those three to be your three-headed monster tonight. And the 8 returners, of course, on defense, led by Jordan Bertinoli and Shea Suinoa, 2 6-year guys that those are the best recruits you can get in the offseason.
And I see Caleb Driscoll playing a big part in tonight's game too, because he's going to be helping on that left side of the offensive line. We would think chipping that D end every once in a while.
No doubt. Also on the defensive side, Connor Shea and Keani Parks making their first starts ever, weak side linebacker and cornerback respectively. We will be keeping an eye on that. We're going to take a quick break here, Jared. Of course, tonight's game, 8:30 p.m. kickoff from Mountain America Stadium right here in Tempe. The game is on FS1. You can also keep it right here on KOWB. Hey, Pokes fans, the Wyoming Lottery has a special offer for you. If the Cowboys win this week, you get buy one, get one free Cowboy draw tickets this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. with an extra chance to win $20,000 on December 6th. Go Pokes. Welcome back to the 7220sports.com kickoff show, presented in part by YO Lotto. When the Pokes win, you win too. Learn more at YOLotto.com. Jared Newland, we broke down the busy offseason for these Wyoming Cowboys, starting with Jay Sawvell being named the 33rd head coach in Wyoming football history. He's brought in new coordinators. He's brought in new position coaches, 38 new commits, a handful of transfers. There's a new offense. There's a new jersey. There's names on the back. All good stuff. I'm going with the boring, excited about the new punter, excited that there are 4 returning offensive linemen, and really looking forward to watching Evan Swoboda's upside, which will start tonight just 11 miles from his hometown of Mesa, Arizona.
Hey, punters are players too.
They're people too. A little housekeeping to take care of real quick. Limited tickets remaining for Idaho and BYU. Just put a story up on the website this week. Very few left, especially for Idaho. There's only like 5 parts of 5 sections with seats left.
And if the Pokes can pull off a victory tonight, both those games are going to be sold out.
How incredible could this be? Because also tickets are limited right now, it says, for Air Force and San Diego State. Could you imagine, as special as last year was with the 7 home wins, if they can sell out? I bet they've never sold out 2-3 games in a season ever.
To my knowledge, they never have in the modern era.
No.
I mean, with the stadium layout the way it is. And I know they've lost seats because of the suites. Now they lost more seats because of the chairbacks on the west side. But still, and some of those other numbers, we won't get into that, but they were inflated back in the day during 180s era. So
kissing and telling. I love it. I love it. Also, make sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 7220 Sports, on Facebook, on TikTok. We're on all that stuff. Also, head over to the website, download our free app. You can do that anywhere you get your apps, and then sign up for our newsletter. It'll be in your inbox every single day.
Cody dances on TikTok.
Damn it, now I'm going to have to do that.
Okay, headbang.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Once again, just crazy to think about, Jared. This is the 6th season of covering the Wyoming Cowboys for 7220 Sports. Started in 2019, started with a bang with a win over Missouri. Maybe that can happen again tonight. Kickoff, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Mountain American Stadium, formerly known as Sun Devil Stadium. Why they changed that, I don't know. Why they changed their helmet logo, I don't know. Yeah, money. But the helmet logo, one of the great logos.
Fear the Fork is one of the great slogans of all time. And to change that, I don't get it.
From the plumber uniforms, the plumber helmet, the Pat Tillman helmet, just bums me out, man. They have cool uniforms, but that was an awesome.
And this is a great stadium.
Yeah.
By the way,
yeah.
It's a great setting, right at the edge of the mountain there in Tempe, and Mill Street in Tempe is on fire right now.
Yep.
I mean, not only because of the heat, but there are people partying everywhere. There are bars everywhere. It's a great college scene, and that's why, there's 65,000 students or whatever it is, and it's a big time party school.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun night, man. Always fun to kick these games off. You talked about a little bit in the first segment that the Cowboys have played the Ohio States and Georgias and Texases and teams like that, the Auburns early in the year on the road. Do you like this one? That it's not only, in my opinion, very winnable, it's a big road game and a big chance to get off with a bang, and you're not starting at home with, let's say, Merrimack.
Who? Yeah, when we were doing our weekly picks earlier this week, I had to leave 3 of these games off because it's embarrassing of what the Mountain West schools are playing.
Yeah.
And Air Force always has this, and it's a true cupcake for Parents Weekend.
Yeah.
Step it up a notch. Seriously.
That's bad. I think I Googled one time where Merrimack was, but I'm not doing it again.
Maryland? I'm guessing. I don't even know.
I don't know. I must say, I have no idea.
And are they even FCS or are they even Division II? I
don't know.
Folks, we didn't do our homework, but why would you?
Yeah, we forgot to do our homework on that one.
But I absolutely love this game because not only is it in your recruiting footprint, it's a very winnable game. It's a Big 12 opponent, which Wyoming has had recent success against.
Yeah.
And Wyoming has an opportunity, if they can pull this off tonight and with BYU coming up, to win 3 straight games against, I know we're getting a little bit ahead of the horse here, but still, against Big 12 opponents.
Yeah.
And
they gave Texas all they could handle last year as well.
Absolutely. So these opportunities to stay in your footprint is much better than going to a Clemson, going to a UConn, going to an Auburn, a Florida, where you really don't recruit and you're probably never going to recruit from.
Yep.
Stay in your recruiting footprint.
No question. And why they don't recruit Arizona more, I don't understand. I mean, obviously your starting quarterback, Evan Sabota, is from Arizona, but by way of Snow Community College, and they don't go down there very much anymore.
A lot of it's probably, are you really going to get a kid from Arizona to come like it in Wyoming? They might come there for a year, but to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of positives and negatives in recruiting in Arizona.
Yeah.
In all sports, to be honest with you. But maybe we'll see more of it.
Is Ryan Christopherson, are we technically calling him an Arizona guy?
He went to high school there, but he grew up in Wyoming and South Dakota, and he was destined to be a Cowboy.
The Cowboys and Sun Devils absolutely have a past here. They were in the WAC together from 1962 to 78. The all-time series is only Arizona State 9-6. And if you think about it, man, Danny White and those Arizona teams back in those days were dominant. They won like 7 WAC titles during the time they were with the Cowboys. So to see that it was only 9-6 overall, and of course we think about that 1972 game, can't forget it with Fritz Shermer and just the Cowboys coming out winning 45-43 in Laramie. Just an absolutely unforgettable game in that one.
Could you imagine Frank Kush going up against a Craig Bowl?
Yeah.
2 hard-headed, old school, leather helmet wearing guys.
Absolutely. Yes, I can.
I actually, real quick, a story. I have a friend that went to ASU, so I've been here for a lot of games before. We were leaving the stadium one night, and Frank Kush, when he was still alive, was right outside the stadium, and I had to go say hi to him and tell him where I was from, and he just kind of had that look, and he knew exactly what I was going to bring up, and he just walked away. That one game.
Because I'm younger, I would have brought up Frank Kush, of course, when he was the head coach of the Baltimore Colts, getting ready to go to Indianapolis. They might have dropped the ball on a guy named John Elway, who brought me a lot of happiness in my life. So thank you, Frank. Man, Danny White, looking into those teams this week. I mean, the Cowboys had another big win in 76 in this rivalry. And I actually read a quote from Fritz Shermer that said, man, right now, our guys in Laramie want to beat Arizona State worse than any other WAC team. And, I mean, that's saying a lot. You're talking about BYU, Utah, CSU, and Air Force wasn't in the conference at the time, but they did play a lot. They wanted Arizona State, and this was a big game.
I still have what they call the old WAC portrait of the 8 teams.
Yeah.
And politically incorrect these days, probably, but it is outstanding. I have it blown up and I have it framed. It's sweet.
It is cool. Yeah, looking into this stuff, man, Steve Cockerham had himself a day in 1972. He ran all over them. The Cowboys ran for almost 500 yards, built like a 30-7 lead.
The pride of Lusk, Wyoming.
Pride of Lusk. And that is technically, Jared, the biggest upset in Wyoming football history. Arizona State came into that game ranked 11th. They were back-to-back-to-back, not only WAC champions, but Fiesta Bowl champions. They were rolling at the time.
No betting lines back then, most likely. So I'm wondering what that would have been. I wonder what that would have equated to betting line wise, and what like the money line would have been, and how much you would win on a $10 bet or whatever.
Probably, arguably, the biggest upset ever. I mean, aside from that game being in Laramie.
Yeah.
I mean, that probably took away some of the points.
And they had 2 of the fastest running backs in the country at the time, and Wyoming.
Woody Green ran for like 200 yards on 11 carries.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I rewatched some of the archival footage too from the UW Heritage Center this week. It was just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love watching that stuff.
No offense, Kevin, but were you doing the game back then?
Yeah.
I know he was around.
Yeah, but. Kevin McKinney is entering year 27, I saw, and Keith Kelly, the voice of the Cowboys, entering year 3 already.
But Kevin has been around the athletics department more than 50 years.
Yes, he has. Actually, I read some stories. That was one of his greatest memories, being at that game. So, Jared, it's hard to talk about this Arizona State team because we just don't know. We know that they have 1.5 million transfers, also known as 30. They have 30 transfers on this team, but that's like 5th most in the United States. And does Arizona State even know their own identity when you bring in that many new guys?
At least they had a lot of them there for the spring.
Yeah.
So you do get to know them. They get to know the playbook and so forth. But yeah, you don't know exactly what you have, and are the players really getting along? I mean, that's part of the culture.
Craig Bohl talked about it all the time. We could bring in guys that are 4-star dudes and that, can have all the measurables, but if they come in here and they're a cancer in my locker room, that's not worth it.
I think you see a firsthand example of that at what happened in Boise State.
Yeah.
Former number one quarterback recruit in the country is in Boise, and he's not named the starter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I asked Jay Sawvell last week, how do you even begin to prepare for a team that has this many transfers, not to mention a new offensive coordinator in Marcus Arroyo, a new starting quarterback in Sam Leavitt? Where do you begin? Here's what Jay Sawvell had to say about that.
With Arizona State's situation on all the new players and new coaching and all that, it does create a challenge. And so it's going to be something we're going to have to get up to speed to right away. And the number one thing, like we talked about with the players with it, you'll help yourself if we play really well. Part of it is tackle well, get off blocks well, get lined up, do those things. That helps the initial process of trying to figure out how they use their people.
Jared, I love the point he makes about, you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what their new pieces. You can go down these rabbit holes and you can go watch what they did at their former institutions and stuff like that. But he said you don't want to create ghosts. And that is so true. You don't know what they're going to do at Arizona State. You don't want to think one thing, get your guys thinking one thing, and then they don't do it. What I love is he's like, you know what? You know how you get ready for games like this? You tackle. You block. You don't let receivers get behind you. You do what you need to do. You worry about you. You see what's in front of you. See ball, stop ball. I love that.
Yeah, you play football and what you've practiced for since Jay took over in January.
Yeah.
I mean, you play what you practice.
Yeah, and they just, that's what you got to do. And I know it's not the sexiest answer in the world, but you just don't know what they're going to do. The one thing they are going to do, however, Cam Scatterbo, 5'11", 215-pound senior running back. This guy is special. He was a finalist for the Paul Hornig Award last year, which goes to the nation's most versatile player. He took 50 snaps at quarterback. Of course, Arizona State had a ton of injuries. Don't expect to see that again. 350 at running back, 2 at tight end, over 100 as either a slot receiver or wide receiver, 3 on kick return, over 5 on punt coverage. And oh, by the way, he punted, was their best punter, averaged 42.3 yards per game per punt on 8 attempts. He was 10th overall in rushing. He has 2,681 career rushing yards starting way back in his career where he was an All-American at Sacramento State. This kid is legit.
Does he remind you a little bit of a Christian McCaffrey?
A little bit, but honestly, he reminds me of a guy we just talked about, which is Ryan Christopherson. And the reason why, he has forced 150 career missed tackles.
That's crazy.
In 3 years. That is special, special stuff. He's got some McCaffrey in him, dare I say a little Sam Scott in him, and definitely some Ryan Christopherson. He is an absolute bowling ball. I thought this quote from Jay Sawvell was incredible when talking about Cam Scatterbo.
I think their running back, I think Cam Scatterbo is a great player. He's one of my favorite people I've watched on video in recent times because he's so versatile. A guy punted last year some for him. He runs it. He can throw it. He's a very physical football player. If he wanted to come here, he'd sign me up for that too. I just think the guy's a great player.
Jay said he is one of his favorite players he's ever seen on film, and if he wanted to come to Wyoming, you have an open invite. However, he is out of eligibility, but boy, he looks like a Wyoming running back, doesn't he?
The only open invite I would have for him is if he brought the whole ASU team with him to play a road game in Laramie.
Yeah, that's coming soon. That is coming soon. And Arizona. Arizona's going to be coming to Laramie too. I don't know the dates. I haven't looked into it, but they are making a return trip eventually here, is what I'm told. I don't know how much we can take from this, Jared. In 2023, their offense only averaged 17.8 points per game. That is putrid, to say the least. They were a complete disaster. You know they are if Cam Scadaboo's taking 50 snaps and he's your starting running back.
Well, and you're talking about knowing the identity of your team. Obviously, you don't if this kid's playing all these different positions.
Yeah, it was a mess. And we did hear they do have some injuries coming into this one tonight. They are missing a starting defensive end. A linebacker who played a lot last year in Tate Romney. They are missing him as well. But offensively, I don't know. They added a bunch of dudes, and they added dudes from Arizona and Colorado and Florida and, all these big high-profile programs where they didn't land there on accident, but does it mesh? Does it work? Melquan Stovall is a guy that we know. He's a wide receiver who started his career with Jay Norvell over in Nevada, went to Fort Collins for 1 year. Now he's in year 20 or whatever at Arizona State is how it seems. So we do know about him. He's a big guy. He can make plays downfield. Can Sam Levitt get it to him? It's so hard to tell. And, that's why I've been thinking all week, how does I don't even know how to write about these guys. How in the hell does Jay Sawvell know how to mess with them? But that's what I love about his answer about just we need to worry about us. Defensively, speaking of putrid, nearly 32 points a game. And that is including a game that was so impressive. I watched the highlights of it the other day. Washington was in the national championship game last year. Arizona State held them to 15 points. And that game, oh, by the way, was in Seattle.
That was definitely by far Arizona State's best overall game of the year.
Yeah.
And it was still a loss.
A loss, yeah. And they did lose some close games last year. It was kind of, to me, they're kind of mirroring, minus the Shadur Sanders part, they're mirroring, and the Deion Sanders part, they're mirroring Colorado. They're loading up on these transfers. They're coming from all these big schools, and they have this flash, but it's not panning out, and they're not necessarily getting blown out, but they're losing. They're losing. They don't know how to win yet. It was just like Colorado last year, minus the Fresno State game where the Bulldogs went into Sun Devil or Mountain America Stadium and absolutely embarrassed this team 29-0.
And if you look at the past 10 to 15 years of Arizona State football, they struggle in their first game of the year.
Yeah.
They play a lot of FCS opponents usually, and it's usually a Thursday or Friday night game on Labor Day weekend so people can go up to the mountains and cool off.
Yeah.
But they struggle in their first game. And obviously they struggle in a lot of other games the last several years too, but this first game of the year, they just haven't been up for it.
Yeah, Northern Arizona is really the only team they've taken care of. They squeaked past Southern Utah last year in their home opener, I believe 24-21. They've recently lost to Mountain West schools. They got absolutely hammered by Fresno last year. They've lost to San Diego State at home and on the road. I believe New Mexico is the only Mountain West team they've beat in the last decade. So, yeah, you're right. I don't know, they just don't show up. If it's too hot for even them, I don't know what the hell's going on. But it also I wonder if it's going to be that way tonight where it kind of looks foggy because it's so damn hot.
It gets steamy in that stadium. Yeah, it does.
It's weird.
And, we'll see what I guess there's got to be a little bit of humidity in the air for that to happen, but we'll see what happens here in a few hours.
You talked about it a little bit. Wyoming in openers, 80, 45, and 2 all-time in openers, 20, 27, and 1 on the road. That's not bad. I mean, considering the teams Wyoming's opened up against in recent memory, 15 and 17 overall on the road in non-conference road openers. Those are good numbers. I was actually kind of shocked to pull those up, to be honest with you, Jared.
I agree. And, sometimes maybe if they're at a Georgia or at an Auburn or something like that, they're not technically the season opener. So that's why some of that stat may look a little skewed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 20 and 27 on the road, that's not bad at all.
No, not bad. Kickoff once again, 8:30 p.m. tonight. Game is on FS1, or you can keep it right here on KOWB. 53,599 should be in attendance tonight at Mountain America Stadium. I expect a lot of brown.
Yes, I agree with that. And if you look on secondary ticket sites, there's a lot of seats left available. And I think a lot of it is Arizona State fans are used to the Thursday or Friday game so they can get out of town. They're just not around for Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of the situation in Wyoming. It's hunting season. Ugh. Well, you know what? Make your plans around your home team.
Yes, please. I know a lot of students at Arizona State go online, but they have a massive student body. So I expect student section to be rocking tonight here in Sun Devil country. Mountain West schedule, Jared, let's get into it a little bit. We got a couple minutes here remaining.
3 games that are just kind of wrapping up as we speak. CSU at Texas, Merrimack at Air Force, and Boise State at Georgia Southern. Getting ready to kick off is UNLV Houston.
That could be sneaky good.
Yeah, the Cougars are only 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
So UNLV might sneak that one out.
That'd be a good win for the conference for sure. I don't think we know who the Rebels, I don't think they've named a starting quarterback yet, but they have a lot of guys coming back. But, man, when you lose Maeva, who was the Mountain West Freshman of the Year last year under center, that's not easy.
Yeah. Nevada, who we all know that lost last week after giving up one heck of a fight against SMU, and those transfers played their butts off.
Yes, they did.
So they're at Troy, 8.5-point underdogs. Fresno State at number 9 and defending champion Michigan. They're 20.5-point underdogs. UCLA at Hawaii. UCLA is a 14-point favorite. Texas A&M Commerce at San Diego State, 33.5-point favorites for the Aztecs. Robert Morris at Utah State. This has got to be Utah State's biggest spread in a long time. They're 31-point favorites. New Mexico at number 21, Arizona, just down the road from us. Arizona is a 31-point favorite. And as of right now, Wyoming at Arizona State is only a 6-point dog. It was 6.5 for a long time, went up to 7. The over-under has come down a little bit from 48 to 47.5. So my prediction, Wyoming 27-17. Take the pokes, money line, and the under. Cash up.
Tonight, Jared, I want to see, typically you wouldn't say this, but I want to see like 28 to 30 throws. I want to see 28 to 30 rushes. I want to see absolute balance across the board. Let Evan Swoboda go a little bit. Let him throw the ball downfield. This isn't more touchy-feely stuff. This isn't Andrew Peasley's team anymore. This is Evan Swoboda's show. Let him go in there with the confidence and give him the game plan and let him take flight. I'm really interested to see the adjustments they make at the line when he can hear in his headset. I'm really interested in that. I think that helps a young quarterback, letting him know where the pressure's coming from, what the coverage is. I'm really excited to see what he can do. And show me some TK King and some Chris Durr and some Stevenson. I want to see these young wide receivers step up tonight. I want to meet you at this same time next week before Wyoming plays Idaho, and I want to talk about the Cowboys have themselves a few receivers.
Yes, and one thing we didn't even mention in the first half, John Hoyland.
Yeah,
they have a
he's pretty good
weapon as a kicker.
Yeah. Sorry, John Hoyland.
But let's don't have it come down to you tonight, John Hoyland, because we get yelled at when that happens.
That's true.
But special teams will be a factor tonight, whether it be field position. I see TK King possibly making a huge impact on the return game.
Love it. Give me the Cowboys 38-31. This has been the 7220sports.com kickoff show presented by Wild Lotto and Rocky Mountain Shirtworks. Thank you for joining us. For Jared Newland, I'm Cody Tucker. Stay tuned for Wyoming football next, right here on KOWB.
At Nutrafol, we don't just help your hair, we help your body grow it. Because it's never just about your hair. It can be your job, or your deodorant, or your lunch, or just normal life. That's why our whole body approach targets the key root causes of hair thinning. Discover your root causes and why we're the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com. These statements have not been approved by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease paid for by Nutraceutical Wellness, Inc.